Palestine versus Israel conflict, a small history review. Beginning around the end of the 19th century, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has existed. The Partition Plan, also known as Resolution 181, was adopted by the UN in 1947 and aimed to create separate Arab and Jewish states inside the British Mandate of Palestine. The State of Israel was established on May 14, 1948, which precipitated the First Arab-Israeli War. Israel won the battle in 1949, but 750,000 Palestinians were forced to flee their homes, and the area was partitioned into the State of Israel, the West Bank, west of the Jordan River, and the Gaza Strip. In order to comprehend what is going on in the area better, let's look at some historical information. History. Prior to World War I, the Ottoman Empire ruled over that region of the Middle East from the early 16th century until the British were awarded control of the majority of the area. Both Israelis and Palestinians developed corresponding movements to advance their own interests as they fought for self-determination and territorial sovereignty. The great powers made many contentious diplomatic attempts before the start of World War I to redraw the boundaries of the contemporary Middle East, including the Palestinian lands. The Sykes-Picot Agreement, which was secretly signed between Britain and France in 1916, set out to internationalize the Middle East by dividing it into zones of influence. Lord Arthur Balfour, the British Foreign Secretary, wrote to Baron Walter Rothschild, the head of the important British branch of the European Jewish banking dynasty, in 1917 to express the support of his country for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Large-scale Jewish immigration followed in succeeding decades, including during Nazi persecution and the Holocaust. Both sides continued to assert their right to establish a state. What major wars have been fought since then? After the Israel Declaration of Independence in May 1948 and the First Arab-Israel War, many more major wars followed in the years to come. Let us examine the most major war events until now. In 1973, Egypt and Syria attacked Israeli positions along the Suez Canal and Golan Heights, beginning the Yom Kippur War. Israel pushed both armies back within 3 weeks. Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982 and thousands of Palestinian fighters under Yasser Arafat were evacuated by sea after a 10-week siege. In 2006, war erupted in Lebanon again when Hezbollah militants captured 2 Israeli soldiers and Israel retaliated. In 2005, Israel quit Gaza, which it had captured from Egypt in 1967. But Gaza saw major flare-ups in 2006, 2008, 2012, 2014 and 2021 that involved Israeli air raids and Palestinian rocket fire, and sometimes also cross-border incursions by either side. 2 Palestinian uprisings between 1987 to 1993 and again in 2000 to 2005. The second saw waves of Hamas suicide bombings against Israelis. Main issues. So what are the major differences of the two states? A two-state solution, Israeli settlements, the status of Jerusalem, and refugees are at the core of the dispute. Two-state solution, a deal that would establish a state for the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza Strip alongside Israel is known as a two-state solution. Hamas is committed to destroying Israel and rejects the idea of a two-state solution. Israel has stated that a demilitarized Palestinian state is necessary to prevent a threat to its security. Settlements. Most countries deem Jewish settlements built on land Israel occupied in 1967 as illegal. Israel disputes this and cites historical and biblical ties to the land. Their continued expansion is among the most contentious issues between Israel, the Palestinians, and the international community. Jerusalem, the capital of the Palestinian state, should be in East Jerusalem, which is home to holy sites for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Jerusalem should remain Israel's indivisible and eternal capital, the country claims. Internationally, there is no acceptance of Israel's claim to the eastern portion of Jerusalem. Without defining the scope of Israel's control in the contentious city, Trump recognized Jerusalem as its capital and relocated the American embassy there in 2018. Refugees. Today about 5.6 million Palestinian refugees, mainly descendants of those who fled in 1948, live in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, the Israeli-occupied West Bank and Gaza. About half of registered refugees remain stateless, according to the Palestinian Foreign Ministry, many living in crowded camps. For years, Palestinians have insisted that millions of their descendants as well as refugees should be let to return. Israel asserts that any Palestinian refugee resettlement must take place outside of its boundaries. The confrontation between Israel and Hamas in October 2023 is the biggest intensification of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict in many years.